Hey everyone, welcome into the Flippin Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star. If you're new here or you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and helping us feed a hungry hippo. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up as you're listening along today. Today we are going to talk about your sell-through rate, stale items, how to get rid of those stale items to increase your sell-through rate on the back end, and how to clearance items out. I've been talking a lot in the past weeks, basically since the beginning of the year, that Keith and I have been running 30% off sales. We've been clearancing out our older items, getting rid of stale stuff, and promising a video more in depth on that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how your old items become stale. If you have items in your eBay store for 4 or 5 years and you're someone who doesn't delist and relist, those items are old. And the algorithm will look at them as undesirable, whether they're not being looked at all or they're being looked at but not bought, which I think is worse. I'm not for sure. Actually, no one really knows how the algorithm works. No one's an expert on it, but we can guess. We can make educated guesses on how algorithms work. If you have a store with 100 items and folks are looking at all 100 of your items every day and no one ever buys anything, that would tell an algorithm, oh, everybody's looking, nobody's clicking through, nobody's buying, so none of this stuff is desirable. If no one's looking at it at all, you're just going to get pushed down in the searches, I think. But if you have 100 items in your store and you're selling 50 a day and you list another 50 and you're selling 50, that tells the algorithm that your store has a high activity, a high amount of sales. People are actually clicking through, following through at the stuff that they're looking at and buying it, which means you have highly desirable items in a very active store, which would give you preferential treatment in the searches. The more active your store is, the more items that you're selling, the more desirable your items look to the algorithm, and it's going to give all of your items a push in the searches or more preferential treatment because the algorithm is set up to help everyone, including eBay, make more sales because that's more money. So if you have stuff from 4 and 5 years ago that's just sitting there that you've never delisted and relisted, and even if you're delisting it and relisting it, it's old stuff. If it's been there for 4 years, even if twice a year you're ending it and putting it back in, it's still sitting there. No one's buying it. Is anybody looking at it? Is eBay seeing it as something that's just dead or undesirable? So it can drag you down. If you have a lot of older items like that, you need to get rid of them because they can drag down your sell-through rate. They can make your store overall, your items look undesirable, and now you're getting pushed down in the searches. So it can drag down your overall visibility, even on your brand new desirable items. So you have two choices when you realize it's time to clear out your store. And you should do this every once in a while. We all have old items. Clothing is super long tail. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Clothing is really long tail. And Keith and I do a clothing guide and a jeans guide that we update every single year. And we have average sale prices on there, of course, but we have the sell-through rates on hundreds of brands and hundreds of types of clothing. And the majority of it is going to take 6 to 9 months to sell, if not longer, just based on math and figuring, the percentages of how they're selling. In fact, if you're interested in buying our clothing, jeans, or plush guide, you guys, today is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, February 14th. They are still on sale for the holiday up through midnight Eastern time tonight for $14 a piece or half off the whole bundle. I will put the information in the description box for you if you're interested in buying one at these special prices. But yes, clothing is super, super long tail. It takes a long time to sell. And some things are just going to sit for a long time. So it is, important that every once in a while you say, okay, it's time to clean out the store. And then you have two choices. You can just say, let's say you say anything that's 2 years or older is what I want to get rid of. Your two choices are to just pull all of it and redonate it, which will help your store. Because let's say you have 2,000 items and 800 of them are these items that are 2 years or older. You pull all 800, yes, you're only left with 1,200 items, but those 800 items that were stale and dragging you down are gone. And Keith and I have done both of these methods. I'm going to tell you your two choices of methods. We have done both of these, and they have both helped immensely. I think one helps more than the other and makes more sense, and that's the second one I'm going to get into in a second. But when we had first moved to Florida from Pittsburgh, we did this method because we were actually trying to consolidate and move less with us. We had almost 4,200 listings, I think, or 4,100 something when we were getting ready to leave Pittsburgh and move to Florida. And we just went in, and anything that was poop or not a great brand or was just taking forever to sell or very, very old, we pulled it. And we dropped down to like 1,000 listings. So we went from 4,100 to 1,000, and our sales immediately increased because we pulled out all that stale inventory. So it does help. It does help. All that stuff's gone. So anything that was pulling you down or weighing you down is immediately gone. And it will help your sell-through rate. It will help your visibility. However, it's a big headache because you have to go into your inventory. If you use something like List Perfectly, you can look in your catalog on List Perfectly. Otherwise, you have to just like look in your eBay store. Hopefully you have a good inventory management system and you have your item locations written down in a SKU line. But you have to make some kind of a list, whether you write it on paper, whether you're on your phone, and you have to go into your inventory and actually physically pull each of these items, whether you're doing 50 or 3,000. You have to actually go out and physically pull them out of your inventory and then donate them. So to me, it's this big headache. Now you got to pull all these items. If you store them ready to ship like we do, they're already in their poly bags with their little tags on them for the management system. You got to take each tag off. You got to take each item out of the poly bags. Now you got to put the poly bags all back together and try to put them neat wherever you keep your shipping supplies. You've got boxes full of stuff that you've got to take somewhere to donate. And then you got to figure out your taxes, because depending on how you do your taxes, if you do the cash accrual system, which is where when you buy stuff, you claim the cost of goods, and when you sell stuff, you claim the profit, you can't write these items off as a loss. So for instance, we buy a wholesale lot in 2019 for $500. For the year of 2019, we claim $500 cost of goods. Now, if in 2023, one of those t-shirts sells, we claim the profit, the $12 or whatever the shirt sold for, but we've already claimed that cost of goods in 19, so we can't claim it again. Okay. But because we claim that cost of goods in 19, if we redonate that shirt in 2023, you can't write it off or take it as a loss, because that's double dipping. You've already claimed that shirt. So it becomes this big headache. I think it's a lot of actual physical work, pulling all the items, donating them, and all of that. So the other option you have other than that is to just clearance it out and sell it to get rid of it. Here's the thing. You've already done the work, right? You've already taken the pictures of the items. You've already created the listings. You've already put all that work in. You might as well at least sell it to break even, if that's all you can do, or just make a couple dollars profit. Rather than going through the hassle of pulling all these items and donating them, you can look at it like you've already claimed your cost of goods. You've already taken the photos. You've already taken the measurements. You've already put all this work into these listings. Why not just drastically drop the prices and clearance them, or run sales? And, maybe you only make back your cost of goods. Maybe you just barely break even. And I say that, but you should also be making enough to cover your time and your supplies. So if you paid $1 for a shirt, you don't want to just make $1. You want to at least make $1.25. You know what I mean? To cover your poly mailer and your time. But if it's really, really old and you're clearancing it out, sometimes it's okay to just clearance it out to break even. Make back your cost of goods. Make enough to cover your fees and your shipping supplies. Don't sell something for $1 because you bought it for $1. Make sure you got $1 back for your cost of goods, $4.50 to ship or whatever it's going to be. You know what I'm saying. But instead of pulling all this crap to donate it, sometimes I just feel like, I've already done the work. I want to sell it, even if I just make back what I paid for it or a little bit of profit. The reason I say clearance or sales is because you also have to look at what it is. So we have some really older items that are good brands. Like I have Miss Me jeans and silver jeans that have been sitting for a couple years and haven't sold. And then I have some that I list and sell overnight. Sometimes I think there is no rhyme or reason to reselling. But if I'm going back through, and I go through in my List Perfectly catalog and I sort it by the oldest created so I can see in order the oldest. And I've been doing 10 a day since the first of the year. I grab 10 poop items, okay brands, bottom of the barrel bread and butter brands. And those are the ones I'm drastically dropping the prices on and clearancing. If they're good brands, I'm not going to do that. So if I have silver jeans that are old, I'm not dropping the price at all. I'm just going to rework the listing, double check the photos, make sure my title's good, keywords. It may be a size that's slow to sell. And I'll keep it at the original price, or I'll recomp it because sometimes prices do unfortunately go down because people race to the bottom, but I will just put it on sale. So I can keep the value of the silver jeans at $40, but run like a 30 to 35% off sale and hopefully move them that way. Or maybe just reworking the listing will help. So when I say I'm going back through and clearancing these items out and dropping prices drastically, I'm not doing it on good brands or Bolo brands. Most of the times, if those are still sitting there, there's a reason. So you just want to double check your listing. You may even have like a typo in there or something. So you want to make sure that you're not trashing good brands, if that makes sense. I'm going to show you my catalog. I'm sorting it. So here, let me show you. That way I can show you what I mean. All right. Okay. So let's go over here. I've got my List Perfectly catalog up, sorted by not sold. And then we're going to go to the oldest created. Now, prior to August of 21, we would list our items in eBay to start, and then we would use List Perfectly as a bulk cross-posting tool to move our items from eBay to Poshmark and Mercari. Then in August, I got serious about using the Pro plan, and I moved all of our stuff into our catalog, and now we start all of our listings right in List Perfectly and then cross-post out. But our oldest stuff here says August 26th, but this is some stuff that is actually from 18 and 19. It's just, it wasn't put in our List Perfectly catalog until 21. By the way, if you're not using List Perfectly, you can try it for 30% off your first month with code flippinhippos. So here's a example. This glamorous sweater, something I got for 99 cents. It's older. I wanted 30 for it to begin with, so I'm going to clearance it out for 15. I'm going to drop the price by 50%. Then in the SKU line, I write the word poop. That's just for me to know that this is an older item I'm trying to get rid of. It's not necessarily poop. It is poop. But this Hanes t-shirt we got in a lot, I think, or from the bins. It was like a 10 cent, 20 cent buy. I wanted $10 for it. I don't want to go that low because of shipping costs and everything. So I will drop it down to $8.74. If that makes sense. So just every day since the beginning of the year, I'm going through and doing about 10 of them. This is definitely a poop brand here, this Max Exchange. I don't want to go below like $7. Some of the stuff I've been accepting offers of $6 on if they're really lightweight. Like this tank top here, I would probably accept $6 on because I think it weighed like 3 or 4 ounces. So you have to take all of this into account. You got to have room if you're going to have sales. You got to have room if you want to do offers. You got to have enough room for your shipping and everything. This has been around. It's already sold. This was returned, actually. It sold for $70 on Poshmark a couple years ago and got returned for size. It did not sell on Poshmark. It sold on eBay and got returned for size. Sorry. So then I measured it and checked it out and put it back in, and now no one will buy it. So I just dropped the price in half. I'm only doing clothing. I'm not touching Plush or clearancing them out. But then when I go down and I see like Old Navy, I know these are old, but I know that I can sell Old Navy for $20 all day long, every day. So this is something I would not clearance or drop the price on. I would just double check my listing and rework it. But this Talbot skirt, yeah, I'll let that go for $7. Pilcrow, Lucky Brand, I would not clearance out. This Brandy Melville, I would. This Alexander Julian. So if that makes sense, I just kind of go down through every day and skip stuff I know should be selling for the price it's at, even though it's older, because then I can just rework and figure out what's going on. This is probably just the size. It's probably a bad size. But most of it I'm going to let go, and I'm on just working through it every day. Basically, the old stuff that I'm willing, like this, no. Cut from the cloth, no. True Religion silver, no. I'm not dropping the prices on any of that. No Old Navy, no Joe's. But anything I am willing to drop the price on, the original price I wanted, ideally you just want to drop that by 50%. But sometimes you can't. Like I can't sell something for $5 or $6. My lowest is going to be 7 or 8 on really lightweight t-shirts like these that I know came from a lot and averaged out to like 50 cents a piece. So you got to take all that into account, but you can drop the prices on some of these really old things like this. I would never, ever do it with brands like Wrangler, White House, Black Market, because those are things that I still sell every single day at really great prices, and I know they can. So it's probably just either something is going on with my listing, maybe the photos need redone, maybe it's a bad size and I just need to sit on it till it sells. But I would delist and relist it. So if it's that old and I'm not going to drop the price, I'm going to rework it, delist and relist just to refresh it. But I don't want to lower, I don't want to go in on my old silver jeans and start lowering prices to $20 on those because we know they're still worth $40. So if that makes sense. So, your two choices are to pull it all, redonate it, which some people choose to do, or you can clearance out and drop the prices. Here's the thing. On a lot of those t-shirts and stuff, we're just going to make our money back and maybe 30 cents profit or 70 cents profit on a lot of them. But it does the same thing for your sell-through rate as pulling it all and donating it. It's basically dropping it off. Because the minute you start clearancing this stuff out and dropping these prices, it's going to start selling. Because there are cheap people out there who are just waiting for really good deals like this, who want to buy a $7 t-shirt. And this is true for any platform. When I drop these prices and clearance these items out, we're doing it across the board. So I will end the listing on all the platforms that it was listed on, edit the listing and list perfectly catalog, drop the price and all of that, and then push it back out. And the stuff sells really quickly. So it's doing the same thing. Instead of just pulling it and donating it, though, it's now selling off the back end. But as it's selling on Poshmark and I'm ending it on eBay because it's sold somewhere else, or whether it's selling on eBay, it's still being taken out. So it does the same thing. All the poopy, stale items are moving. Your sell-through rate is increasing. Your visibility is increasing. But your sales are also increasing because you're going to sell more. Once you start clearancing these items out, your sales are going to increase. At least your volume of sales is going to increase because, again, there are cheap people out there who really just wait for these kinds of deals, and this is what they want. They come in, they buy all the stuff up. So now all the stale stuff is gone from the back end, but you're also selling more, which makes you sell more. Okay, so the more you sell on eBay, the more you're going to sell on eBay. because the more active your store is, the more sales you're making, the more the algorithm thinks that you have desirable items in your store that buyers want. So now you're getting more visibility, more preferential treatment, and you're being seen in searches more. The algorithm is really smart about seeing activity. If you're making more sales, if you're being more active, it can see that. It can't tell the difference between someone who's, oh my gosh, selling 10 silver jeans a day at $50 a piece and 10 clearanced out $7 to $8 t-shirts. The algorithm doesn't know, oh, the only reason your volume of sales went up is because you clearanced items out and these are all poop. It doesn't know any of that. All it knows is you're suddenly selling more items. Your volume has increased. So you must have desirable items. Your store must be something all buyers want to see. So you start getting more visibility and all of your other items start to get pushed up in the searches because your store looks really active and really exciting, and the algorithm wants more buyers to see it. And that's the other reason I like the idea of clearancing items out more than I do just pulling and redonating. Pulling and redonating can help you with your sell-through rate, but clearancing it out gets all that activity and all these sales moving, and it creates like this nice domino effect of more sales equals more activity equals more visibility. So as you're clearancing out all your poop and you're making your money back on those items, your newer stuff, your more expensive stuff is being pushed up in the searches as well. It's kind of like having a loss leader. If you're familiar with having loss leaders, like in the stores, Walmart will clearance out items and hopefully bring you in so that you'll buy more. It's kind of like that on eBay because some buyers will come in. Like if you saw my what sold on eBay video yesterday, we had one buyer purchase 9 ties. One buyer purchased 4 t-shirts because they were clearanced out and they might as well just buy more. So it can work like that, just like it would at Walmart if you have a loss leader. They get you in the door, everything's cheap, so you'll buy more, and then hopefully you'll buy stuff that's priced full price. And you hope that with your buyers too, but it's not quite exactly the same on eBay. A lot of buyers are just there looking for one thing. They're not there to shop or do bulk buys. But clearancing your items out can be treated as a loss leader in the fact that if these 10 t-shirts that have been sitting for 4 years wouldn't sell at $15 will now sell at $7 and $8 within 2 days. That creates such an influx of activity and visibility for your store that those 10 t-shirts are now your loss leaders because you got rid of them at, we don't want to say at a loss. You want to at least make your money back, your cost of goods. But now all your other stuff is being seen and sold. So your loss leaders are more for the activity and being visible and being having your items pushed up in the searches, if that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know down below. I do answer everybody. Go be productive. Go make some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.